I wasn't sure if you were a lectern person or a sofa person, Di, but let's start here. Would you like to just give us your thoughts? I'm going to be speaking to David Collins in a few moments. He will have been in the job for a year. What do you think, what do you think about that role, about the way it's organised and what it can achieve?
I think certainly having read his recent report, the work that he's doing with colleges that have got into difficulties is very supportive. I think the approach he's taking is one of working with the colleges as opposed to dictating to the colleges. And there are lessons we all can learn from his report, having a long, hard look at some of the really quite obvious issues that he raises. But then I'm looking at it, my senior team are looking at it, my board are looking at it, and actually you will see in there some things that you recognise yourself. So I think the sector really should be taking notice of what David is finding. I do think one of the comments that he makes in the report about the impact on funding and the impact that that's having on the financial stability of colleges and those unintended consequences around provision that's quite expensive, such as engineering. And our college is going to retreat to the more economic curriculum model of delivery, the more economic curriculum all round, rather than investing and being able to invest in those more expensive areas that are absolutely crucial to the UK economy. So I would ask him what he's doing in terms of raising that with ministers. He's seeing this happening. It's only a small proportion of colleges. It's only 11 colleges, only 6% of the whole sector. But if he is then seeing this is going to be a greater problem, what is his role in raising that with ministers so that we don't have those unintended consequences?
You've got lots of hats, Di, but as a principal, what are the biggest concerns for you?
I certainly think...
Principal.
Yes, the principal. I certainly think the impact of funding. It's actually having it change on such a very regular basis. So if I had one plea, it would be to have some stability. Things change almost, not just on an annual basis, but in year. And actually being able to do that long-term planning, to be able to be looking outward and doing some of the work that the two ministers have, the shadow minister and the minister have been referring to, around doing that collaboration, around working really closely in your region. You need to be able to have that stability of funding so that you can then focus on your local area and actually having the best provision for your local area.
And when you hear that word collaboration, it sounds very positive, but if you haven't got the money, collaboration then becomes shoving classes together, making them bigger, cutting staff numbers and all the rest of it. Is that a real worry for you now and for others in your sector?
I think all colleges want to serve their local community. And certainly around collaboration, you will see some excellent models of colleges who maybe are competitor colleges, but actually working very collaboratively. We do that with Bournemouth and Poole College. We have a shared service provision. We actually came together to pool our back office resources so that we could get best value for money. And we are two colleges who are serving a very similar community. I think it's about the stability. It's so that colleges have that time and that space to be able to plan and look forward. And having to make short-term decisions to react to reductions in funding that aren't necessarily the most effective decisions, that is perhaps the area that worries me the most.
And before you go, Diane, before we talk to David, your thoughts on what we've heard from the two politicians this afternoon. I guess my first question is, was there difference in what they said? What did you take away?
I think it was really interesting. I think, as Nick Bowles says, who understands the best nature
of the challenges. And it was quite interesting in terms of their approaches. They obviously start out by recognising the value of further education and the impact that further education colleges play in achieving some of their key economic objectives. Certainly it was good to see the flexibility coming around the traineeships, extending that to 19 to 24-year-olds. That's good to see. The one thing I would say is please could the Minister look at how he calls them pre-apprenticeship training. Pre-apprenticeships is actually really recognised by employers. Traineeships, it's one of those, we've just established the apprenticeship brand.
Don't call it training.
Don't call it traineeships. Please can we call it pre-apprenticeships. Certainly, I think in terms of the look at English and Maths qualifications, that's quite encouraging. That's going to be taken forward at the start of the next calendar year. Please don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Functional skills, they have, again, a developing currency with employers. So let's not keep reinventing the wheel. Around funding, I think what does concern me from both parties is I know they can't say until they actually are either back in power or elected into power what the economic situation is going to be. But there has to be this investment. They're recognising the role, particularly, as Liam Byrne said, working with our small and medium-sized enterprises, really to push forward skills, developing our young people, getting people back into work. But not only, as Martin has said, is that disparity between the private education sector and what happens at post-16 in the education sector in terms of investment. And, you know, we get a reduction, and in the private sector, they put more money into it. What really concerns me is internationally. We do work out in China, and when I see the amount of investment that is going into the Chinese education system, particularly around vocational education, I hope that both politicians, one thing that they do understand about the challenges, however which way they decide to work with colleges, that actually investment is going to be absolutely crucial if we are going to take our place against the international competition.
Di Roberts, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Very succinct and very thoughtful. And I took away your doctor, but I owe you a CBE, don't I?
You do.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Di, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
A warm hand to Di Roberts. Thank you.